Heidi-ho, neighbors. How's it going? I'm in the van. All the windows are up. It's going to start getting hot. But I'm just trying this out. I'm digging the seat. By the way, when the seat is in any of the 4 central positions, there's no play in that bearing. There's 2 other positions here that are kind of on an angle, and when it's locked in that position, there's a slight bit of play in that bearing. It doesn't matter. Just put it out there. Why am I talking to you today? Well, this is just a thing to wake you up a little bit. I mean, it is the season, right? Summertime, camping season. You guys are getting in your vans and you're adventuring. RVs, camping, whatever. You have to be careful out there a little bit, right? You're out in the woods. I watched a video this morning. Real nice couple. Adventure bandits, they call themselves. And they had bought a new RV. And didn't have it very long. Went to an RV park. I think they were in Ohio. Crazy storm swept through. Big tree fell down. Crushed their RV. I'm watching the video. And when they edited it, they included a snapshot that somebody had sent them. Some other camper had been there previously and took a picture of that tree. As it came out of the stump, out of the ground, it V'd, and at that V there was a clear crack. And apparently the RV park had been warned about it, so they're kind of slightly liable for this. They have some liability issue there, I think. So that's what this video is about. It's situational awareness and preventive maintenance, both on your vehicle and when you're out in the woods, man. I'll have to tell a couple stories here, I guess. That's what you're really here for, right? Story time? That's what it's becoming. Astro Van Tribe, story time. Lessons learned from fucking up. My mic. And just so you understand, in case you haven't learned this yet in life, you learn a lot more from your mistakes. You don't learn a lot from your successes. You learn a lot from mistakes. And it's not, life happens. It's not really good or bad, just things happen. We deem them to be good or bad. But if you reflect on the things that you've lived through in life that seemed hard, there's a lesson there. The lesson needed to be learned. And those of you who keep having hard times, it's because you haven't learned the lesson yet. Learn the lesson. Life will be a little bit better for you. You won't keep making that mistake again. Women, you hearing me there on that one? Maybe the kind of guys you've been dating? Anyhow, I don't know when I learned this. I don't know if my dad told it to me. I don't know if it was a Marine Corps thing. But I've always been aware. I learned a lot of this when I was a kid. I learned when I was young that people are unaware. People just don't notice things. I was playing Army as a kid. We had this overgrown yard in Paterson, New Jersey, which is the armpit of New Jersey. Maybe the taint of New Jersey. It's pretty freaking bad. Well, Camden might be the taint of New Jersey. But I remember I would get in a bush and I'd wrap myself around the stalk of that bush and my friends would walk right by me. Right over me. Never see me. Later, when I was older, listen, I'll have to do a YouTube live thing someday. You guys can ask me questions. If I start talking about the mischief that I was involved in when I was young, it wasn't good. Some funny stories, though. We used to do some crazy stuff, but at one point I remember doing some stupid things, and I would be up in a tree, and the car that would, whatever, people would pull up underneath the tree and look around for what just happened. I'd be right above them. They never look up. They never look up. Always look up. So if you're going to be camping somewhere, you got to be looking for the widowmakers, man. You got to do that. There's rotted trees around. There's branches that are cracked already. I remember I went up to the Kern River camp with some friends, but this is a long time ago. This is maybe 15 years ago or more. And we all had tents. And I made sure that my tent was not under a tree. And I told my friends, hey, that's not a good place for your tree. Look, don't worry, it's all fine. Okay, we all set up our tents. I made sure mine was in a safe spot. I always stake my tent down. Always. I'm not lazy like that. And sure enough, that night, after we were all pretty well stinking hammered, we had a great day of running up the river, jumping off a rock, floating down. Every time we did that, we downed a beer. And there was other things going on. So we were, you know, smashed. Good adult fun. And a crazy rain windstorm swept through. Out of the blue. And it lasted a good amount of time. It was probably a solid 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It was pretty crazy, and branches fell all over the place. I watched one come down and almost take a buddy of mine out. Crushed a tent. A couple of the other tents blew away. One got in the river. You know who didn't have any problems? This guy. This guy right here. The tent stayed there, and nothing crashed down on my tent. They all learned a lesson that day. Listen to Mike. This is the guy right here. How does this affect the Astro van thing? You should be visually inspecting your van on a regular basis. Every week. At least once a month. Get on your back. Get underneath your van. And look at the bushings at the control arms. Look at everything. Grab things. Move them around. See what's loose. If you hear a weird noise, get under there. Investigate. Know your vehicle. You're dependent on it, man. A lot of you are taking your vehicles out in the middle of nowhere. You should know it. You should know what's going on under there. You should see things. You should fix and repair things before they break. I mean, there's this famous thing, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That does apply to certain things. But, you know, when it comes to brakes and suspension, handling equipment, yeah, man, check that out. Get into that. I found a wire. There's the front drive shaft that comes off the transfer case. There was a shiny spot on it, and there's this wire that had come down, and it's got like an asbestos covering on it, I'm guessing. Whatever that is there, that cloth. And it's worn. I got to wrap some electrical tape around that. I got to zip tie it off to the side. I've been a little lazy about that. Maybe I'll do that later today. But you will see things. Even the wiring that was attached to the replacement transfer case that's now four-wheel drive, I think it came out of an S10, the Journeys thing. You know, they don't put that wire loom on the wiring. Those are just bare wires hanging out there. I mean, they've got their natural insulation on them, but that's not good. So that needs to be tidied up and dealt with. So that's what this is about. Situational awareness, preventive maintenance, head on a swivel. Check stuff out first. Avoid the problems before they happen. And have a good summer, and have fun camping, and I'll be on the road. Maybe I'll see a few of you. I was looking at a map last night. I don't know if I'm going to do this. I want to cruise up through Utah. I want to go by the Skinwalker Ranch area, Fort Duché, and camp there for a night. Stay out overnight, do some UFO looking. Sure nothing will happen. I want to shoot up from there into kind of like Wyoming, South Dakota. I'm considering like a quick north loop and go through Deadwood and Mount Rushmore and the Crazy Horse Monument. I'd like to see that and then drop back down to the 80 or something and then shoot across the country from there to upstate New York. So that's my plan. At least that's what I'm looking at right now. So maybe I'll catch some of you Astro Vanners on the road. If I do, I'm giving you a free sticker, man. Sticker packs are still happening. I just got an email a couple minutes ago. Anyhow, that's it. Oh, you see the screen up here on the windshield. My windows are extremely dark. They don't look like it from here. You cannot see in this vehicle. With that windscreen up, you cannot see in this vehicle. So I'm pretty stealthy and don't need the curtains for people to be able to see in, not be able to see in. I do need them for if I want to block light out or for heat, cold, that sort of issue. I ordered some Thinsulate that I'm going to insulate the walls and the ceiling with. You know me, I already went over, I'm not going to go crazy on the insulation, but I'm going to do that, and with the Thinsulate, I've got like a Mexican blanket sort of thing, material I'm going to cut up and put on the other side of it, and that's what I'm going to make for my window covers, and they're going to snap in place and roll up and snap in place, roll down, snap in place. That's my goal. That's a Foresty Forest tip for you. Have a good day. Be good to each other. Situational awareness.